Hi everyone and welcome back to my War Games hobby channel. Alec here. I just thought I'd give a little bit of an update of what I've been up to and why I haven't been doing many videos recently. I think some of you might already know, certainly if you know me, if you're a member of Farnborough War Games Club, you'll know that I have another hobby. And in the summer months, it takes up 90% of my spare time, and there just isn't enough time to get too involved in wargamings. And of course, with COVID, things have been very much restricted anyway. But my other hobby, as I say, that's very much a summer sport. I play lawn bowls. I'm a qualified coach, and I'm very involved with my bowling club, teaching new people and playing. And it really does take sort of 4 or 5 days a week out of my spare time. And so not much time for wargaming, but I'm still around. And now the winter months are here. Now we're into October. I will be doing more on my War Games hobby, and so you'll see more of me. So when I have had a bit of time, what have I been doing? Well, I've been painting up some 28mm Napoleonic, and these are Austrian Uhlans. I've done 8 of them, and I'm really pleased the way they've worked out. They've been a long, hard job though. It's taken me, crikey, about sort of 8 weeks to paint those, which is silly really. So it's a week for one figure. I'm now actually, this is a process. I'm painting up some French line lancers now. And the reason I'm doing those is I've bought shakoes and bayonets, which, as you know, are part of the Muskets and Tomahawk series, and I really like these rules. And I've done a lot of Austrian and French infantry, and I've got a gun on each side as well, Nath officers, but I had no cavalry, so I decided to do some cavalry. Now I've gone for lancers because the Austrians I'm doing are based on a unit at the Battle of Wagram in 1809. Because I want the infantry with the helmet, and that was, when they last sort of used them really. And the units that I'm doing, the division I'm doing, or units from the division, the cavalry had that division as a supporting the infantry, were the Uhlans, so I've done those. But I've since discovered that in fact lancers are quite effective in muskets and tomahawks. So I decided that I was going to do some French hussars, or chasseurs. I was just going to stick to light cavalry. I wasn't going to do heavy cavalry anyway, because I feel in a skirmish, really, it should be light cavalry, not heavy cavalry, although you can use them in the rules. Anyway, I was going to do French light cavalry, but I decided that I would even up the Uhlans with French lancers as well. That's why I've done 2 units of lancers. So if they fight each other, at least, both units have got the same advantage. The club is meeting now regularly on a Friday. Unfortunately, the normal venue that we've been using for about the last for about a year before COVID started, we can't get back in at the moment. What happened was we were at the Farnborough Community Centre for about 40 years, in fact maybe even longer than that. But unfortunately the centre is now closed, and they're not building another community centre. The council have been a bit naughty really. They decided this whole building that we were in, although it was listed, they didn't put any money in keeping it in very good condition, and they said it became unviable, unprofitable, but they weren't charging much for us to use it. We were paying £20 a night, believe it or not. Ridiculous amount of money. So anyway, without going into that too much, that's now closed, and we had to move, and we managed to find a nice church hall, which is part of a local Catholic church. And COVID happened, and we had to stop playing. And in fact, we did manage to start, where I play lawn bowls, we did manage to start meeting in our clubhouse. But you can only really do that in the winter months. You can't use it in the summer. But we managed to now find a new home. We're at another church hall now, which seems to be working out quite well. It's a bit more expensive than we were paying before, and a lot more than the community centre. But even so, it's a nice big hall, and we have started meeting more regularly, and we're getting sort of between 20 and 30 on a Friday night when we go there, which is great. So yeah, we're starting Wargame again. I've had a few games with the guys. I tend to, my main sort of periods are, I quite like the Napoleonic period. I've got a 50mm army, which I use with black powder. But we've now got the 28mm, which we use for either sharp practice or muskets and tomahawks, or shakos and bayonets as they're now called, the Napoleonic supplement. I'm not over keen on sharp practice. It just doesn't do it for me. I think they're overly complex, although a lot of my friends do like them, so it's just my own personal opinion. I prefer I think the shakos and bayonets are an easier set of rules to play. They have got faults. There's a few things I'm not sure about, and I may well try introducing a few house rules, which I think would help the rules even more. But so we've been doing a bit of this, say, skirmish type rules, and we've been doing. We tend to do, if we do black powder, we tend to do either Napoleonic. Most of my friends have got big enough armies in 28mm to use for black powder. I haven't. I've only still got enough to do skirmish games. It's something that I will do. I'm going to build up my Austrian army eventually, 28mm, to use with them. But I have got a huge French and Russian 15mm army, so I think black powder works quite well with those. So I'm not going to do a massive army, but I'm just doing enough so I can join in and use my own figures if we have a game of 28mm. We've been also using, doing Hail Caesar. I've got Roman and Dacians, quite a large army, and they're quite good. But my buddies, Dom from Boots on the Table, and Ken, and a few other mates, they've got quite large War of Roses armies. I haven't got anything War of Roses at all. I do have some Saga skirmish figures I've made for Saga, which are Crusaders and Normans, sort of early or Dark Age period, but nothing really in the War of Roses. So when I play with those guys, I have to use their figures. I think most gamers like to use their own figures though, really. So it is something I need to seriously look at, doing some War of Roses, and maybe that'll be my next project when I've finished what I'm doing, which is finishing the French line lancers. I've got a few Austrian and French infantry to do to finish up that as a project, as a skirmishing project. And then before I start adding more Austrians to make it into a black powder project, I will probably do maybe some War of Roses. I quite fancy it myself, never having done any at all. Although actually before I even do that, I've still got some, I've got plenty of American War of Independence if I want to do skirmishing or even black powder, which I have done with those. But I haven't got many French and Indian wars, and I'm only going to do enough to do muskets and tomahawks again. But I have got a few units which I've got ready to paint, but I haven't started them yet. So they're around here somewhere. Can't think what I've done with them now. Anyway, they are. I'll put a photograph on. Wait a minute. Let me just get them out. Yeah, here they are. So these are the. You can see I've only got about what 10, about 20 figures there to paint up of French Marines and militia, and there's the rest of my Napoleonic infantry I've got to do. So yeah, I've got plenty. At the rate that I paint as well, to be honest, I've probably got enough there to last me till about Christmas, or in fact well beyond that. So I'm not going to buy anything else. Now I'm going to Warfare at the end of November. Oh dear, what am I going to buy there? I don't know. I may well buy something there, but I won't. I must get these finished first. I'm sure you're all like me. You have lots of projects that you start, and then you get sort of pulled into something else and then never get finished. I'm going to try and finish what I've got before I start buying any more, or at least if I do buy them, put them away and don't start them. I've also got some Gaul horsemen. There's 6 mounted miniatures in there, and then another command of 3. And the reason I've got those is that I have I play quite a bit of Saga, and I've got a sort of a Roman army, and I want a Gaulish army. I've got a Gaulish army to fight against the Romans, but I've got no cavalry. And although you don't need them, they're not essential. It is handy to have at least 1 unit of cavalry on the table. So I bought those, but they're at the bottom of my sort of list of priorities to paint. But I will paint those as well before I start my water roses. So now we're looking at probably spring next year, the rate that I paint. There we are. There's no hurry. You know, I'm not in a race. I just have to find time to paint, and that should improve over the coming months. And certainly for the summer, it's virtually stopped. What else am I doing? Well, that's about it, really. It's enough, really, for my hobby. And I just thought it'd be nice to let you know what I've been up to. And I've not been hiding away. I haven't disappeared completely. It's just, as I mentioned, my other hobby does rather take over. In the summer, I've been bowling for 35 years. In fact, longer than that, about nearly 38 years now I've been bowling, and I've been coaching for about 12. I've been wargaming for longer. I've been wargaming from my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. So that's been for about 50 years. But it fluctuates, doesn't it? You know, you go through periods where you just spend a lot of time on various projects, and then you sort of almost have a break. And to say that's what I've done this year. I've had a bit of a break from wargaming, painting anyway. I've been still playing the odd game, but not as much as normal. Right, so that's it. I shall leave you with that. Just hope you've enjoyed my little catch up, and I will try and do more. I'm actually trying to, when I go down the club, if I have a game, I'm trying to record it and do a quick update of highlights for each of those games, just to, you know, if you're interested. So I hope you enjoy them, and look after yourself, and I'll see you again soon.